Okay, now we will do some measurements for the rectangular solids. So that'll be the first data table you will see in your handout. So you see there are various items we have, and so the equipment we need to use, of course, we need to use a scale to get the mass, and then we are going to use these items. You see the aluminum there, copper, iron, brass, and then a sheet metal is actually made up of zinc. And then we also have the vernier caliper here, and also the micrometer, and also the acrylic block over here. So these are the one we are going to use. So I'll take one by one and do the measurements, and you need to write down the values. So let me start with the aluminum block. So let's get the mass first for that. So here's the mass for the aluminum block. Now let me take the aluminum block. I'm going to measure the, say, length or width. So let's say the length, will be the short dimensions we have here. Looks like they're about the same, but we will try to measure that. So the best tool for that is going to be the vernier caliper. All right, so quickly let me show you how you use a vernier caliper here. So here's a vernier caliper. So first thing you need to do is just close the jaws and make sure that it reads 0. Okay, so right now it is reading 0 because you see the 0 on the main scale and the 0 in the vernier, they match exactly, and of course there's nothing between the jaws, so that's 0 right there. So if you're going to measure something, what you do is take the object, put it in the jar like this, and then okay, so the first thing you're going to read is the um, reading on the main scale. So look at the 0 line. Now the 0 line is between 1.2 and 1.3, so we say it's going to be 1.2, and then what you do is look for the vernier, and one of the vernier line is going to match with the main scale there. Okay, now the vernier scale goes from 0 through 10 there. Okay, so in this case, if you look very carefully, starting at 0 doesn't match, so 1 doesn't match, 2, 3, if you keep on going, you will see 8th is matching pretty good. The line on the 8th for the vernier and the line on the other side matches very correctly. So the reading is, then we basically say this is 1.28 centimeters. All right, that's the reading for that. Okay, so this could be the length. Now I'm going to do the width, so just turn it around, put it like that, so that'll be our width. So let's try to read that. Okay, I'll let you read that. So first look for the 0 line, location of the 0 line, not the edge of the metal there, read the 0 line there. Okay, and then come over here along the vernier and see where it matches exactly. Okay, it might be the same as earlier here anyway, so that's fine. That's the reading for the width. Next you need the height, so let me put it for the height. Open the jar a little bit wider and put it like this. So you see that it's sitting right there now. So now you need to read this. Okay, now when you read this height, you see that it's very close to 5, maybe a little bit less, so it could be 5 centimeters, or if we follow the vernier here, it hitting maybe at 9 there maybe. Okay, so it could be 5.0, or it could be 4.99, actually 5.00, or it could be 4.99, so either one is fine. So that's going to be the height. Okay, so this is for the aluminum. Next I'm going to do the copper. All right, here's copper. All right, here's the mass for copper. All right, so let me measure the length. So I just choose one of them as length. Here we go. So all right, you see the 0 line, and then let me show you the whole. I'm going to show you the whole vernier scale. You pick the number which is the correct number for this particular case. All right, so it might be very close to what we had already earlier. All right, that's for the length. Now let's do the width. Here we go. So this is the width again. So you see the 0 line there, and then look for the vernier wherever the vernier matches. Okay, again it might be pretty close to what you had earlier. Next is the length, height. So here's the height. Here we go. I put it like this, and let's read that right there. Once again, you see it's pretty close to 5 or 4.99. Perhaps it could be 5. Yes. Okay. So let me show you the vernier one more time here, so you'll see that is, perhaps it could be, 9. So they are very close. All right. So that's copper. Next is the iron. So again, put the iron for mass. All right. So get your mass, and I'm going to measure the length. Here we go. So here is the object sitting between the jars. So here's the length. So go ahead and read that, and then follow the vernier here, and try to read that. Okay. So that's for length, and the width. Here we go. So this is the width. Again, look at the 0 line and follow the vernier here and see what the reading is. Okay, and the height. Here we go. So if you want to, I can show you the vernier here, but in fact, if it matches exactly at 5 for 5.00, you will see that the 0 line on the other side will also match the vernier scale there. Okay, so this is iron. Next is brass. So here's the brass. Let me put the brass for the mass. Okay, and I'm going to measure the length. Here we go. So again, these 4 blocks are pretty identical, so they're very close anyway, but we will read it every time, I guess, just to be sure. All right, this is the length, width, height, and height. Okay, so this is brass. Next is the sheet metal. Now the sheet metal, okay, here's a mass for the sheet metal. Okay, and this is actually a zinc plate. So here's a mass. Now, if you look at the sheet metal here, the thickness is fairly small. Okay, so we cannot really use the vernier caliper for that, but let's measure the length and width first, I guess. All right, so put the plate between the caliper here. So you need to put it kind of parallel, I guess. You could also use a ruler for this, but so I might use a ruler for those 2 things. All right, so let me show you that. Here we go. So I'm going to hold the ruler here and show it to you so you can read. So here's the one edge is at 0, other edge you should be able to read that. Okay, so that could be the length, and here's the width. Again, I'm holding one edge on this plate here, and the other side you can read it. Let me focus it. Okay, these are, of course, these are centimeters. The big numbers you see, the 5, 6, those are centimeters. They mark it in millimeter down there, but that's for the individual lines. So these are in centimeters. Now for the thickness, we need to use this device. Okay, this is called a micrometer. So the first thing you do is you close this all the way, turning it with the ratchet, and the readings will be 0. So you can see the reading is very close to 0 there, because the 0 on the main scale, you can see, let me see whether I can focus this. Hold on a second. Okay, so you see the 0, there's some reflection of the light there, but let's see what I can do. Okay, so you see the 0 on the thimble and the 0 on the main scale, they both match. So that's 0, 0 is a reading. Okay, so then what you do is you open up, and then you put whatever you need to put, and then you can read it. As you open up, what happens is the thimble turns by some numbers. So it goes like 10, 25, 35, 45, and then when it reaches 45, reaches 0, what happens is basically you turn through half a millimeter. Okay, so basically it will match us in the bottom line. If you keep on turning, it'll go another 50. So when you reach 0 again, you will go to the exact 1 millimeter mark. Okay, so the micrometer reads in 1 millimeter scale there. All right, let me go back to 0. So every time when you use, make sure that you use a ratchet to open up. Now I'm going to open it up and then put the sheet metal. Okay, here we go. So I just put it like this. Okay, and then I tighten it with the ratchet and come over here and try to read this. Okay, so as you can see, hopefully you can see this. So basically we have passed the half mark, so that's 50, and then we have 25 through about 30, a little bit less than that, so maybe between 28 and 29. So perhaps you could say at 28. So it's but remember that we already passed the bottom half here. Okay, so it should be about 78, which is 0.78 millimeters. So that's the way you read that. Okay, so we haven't really reached the one full mark there. So that's the that will be the height. All right, next is the acrylic block. So let's do the acrylic block. Is fairly big, so we should be able to use the vernier for that. Okay, let's get the mass for that. Let me zero it. Okay, here's the mass for the acrylic block, and then I'm going to measure the length, width, and height. All right, let's do the length. So you put it there like this. Okay, here we go. All right, here's the length. Okay, so you see 0 there, 2, and then you see the numbers. And let me show you the vernier here. Okay, it's a little bit. All right, so try to find out the vernier number there. Anyway, so that's going to be the length. Next is the width. Here we go. Again, you see the 0 line there. Okay, let me follow to the vernier. All right, so this is going to be the width, and then the height. Here you go. So look for the 0 line and then follow the vernier. It's going out of focus for some reason, but hopefully you can see that. All right, so those are the measurements you need